Hi, here we will discuss about the purpose of wildcards in Java generic programming. The wildcard is one of the approach to accept the different data types in the same using same single statement. The question symbol is used to represent the wildcard, that is representing the unknown data type. That means if you use the question symbol, it will accept any data type. For example, integer also will be accepted. If you pass another time, float also will be accepted. If you pass the what do you call the character, that is also will be accepted. If you pass the byte data type values, that will be also accepted. So any data type will be accepted if you represent the type variable as a question symbol. The question symbol is called here wildcard. Wildcard can be used to define the parameter type or a field, that means variables, and return type in the place of void method, right? So here if you want to use the type parameter in this place, we can use it, or integer and float, like that. And also we can use the type parameter when we are declaring the local variables inside the method. However, wildcard is not allowing the user to use as a type argument during the generic method invocation. If method is defined as generic, then when you are calling the method from the class, main method of the class, then we cannot use the type parameter where we are invoking. And also when we are creating the instance for generic class, we cannot use the wildcard. Okay, we cannot use the wildcard, right? And here also when we are using the super class, there also we cannot use the wildcard. So wildcard cannot be used in this circumstance. That means when we are invoking the generic method, we cannot use the wildcard. When we are creating the object for generic class, we cannot use the uh, question symbol, that is wildcard. When we are invoking the superclass, we cannot use the wildcard. So the wildcard is used to remove the incompatibility between different instantiations of the generic type. That means a different type of data objects. It is done by using the wildcard, that is represented by using the question symbol as an actual type parameter. Here the wildcards are having three different categories. One is upper bounded wildcard, and second one is lower bounded wildcard, and the third one is unbounded wildcard. The wildcards are used to state the type argument can be any one of these categories, which is using to give or provide some restriction to the objects when we are using inside the Java generic program. Here we are going to see the first type, upper bounded wildcard. This is the wildcard mostly used in the Java generic programming, which is creating an upper bound, that is declaring the superclass to specify the type parameter from which superclass, from this superclass the arguments must be derived. Upper bounded wildcards decreasing the restrictions on variable. That means when you are using the question symbol, it is accepting any data type. So automatically, right, sometimes integer also will be accepted, sometimes float data also will be accepted, sometimes byte data also will be accepted. So depends upon the data which we are passing over that variable, it will act as a integer variable or float variable or byte variable when we are using the question symbol, that means wildcard. So through this we are decreasing the restrictions. If you use only the integer some variable object, means it will accept only the integer values. But when you are using the wildcard here, then we are defining like this, then what will happen, it will accept all kind of data objects, that may be integer, that may be a float, like that. So through this you see here we are having more restriction, only it will accept integer values, but here we don't have any restriction. That's why we are saying we are decreasing the restrictions over the variable when you are using the type parameter as a wildcard. It restricting the unknown type to be a specific type or subtype. That means which when you are passing integer, it will acting as integer, okay, or accepting integer data. So unknown type is going to be represented as a specific type or subtype. For example, here we are going to declare the type variable using wildcard, which is followed by extends. So here type variable is there. This type variable we have to use the wildcard, that is question symbol, then which is extending the superclass. If it is class, we will use the inheritance concept, that is extending keyword, extends keyword. Suppose if I am using the interface name, any interface, then we have to use implements keyword. Okay, so here question symbol implements interface. So like this we have to use the upper bound wildcard. Here this t is replacing by the superclass or subclass of the superclass. So here we are using the superclass. Okay, suppose if I am using the superclass is number, then we can extending by the question symbol. So here wildcard is defined. This wildcard will accept will be using for accepting the subclass or child class of this number class. Number is class is the parent, so which is having integer subclass, float subclass, character, I mean sorry, byte subclass, and short integer subclass, long integer subclass. So those subclasses can be accepted by this question symbol. So by this we can define the upper limit for that particular situation. Okay, so here we are going to see the example question symbol which is extending number. So as I told you, the number class is the parent class which is having subclasses like integer, float, double. So double should be capital D, right? Double, and short, long, and byte, etc. When we are using the number class, right, when we are calling the method of number class through any child class, okay, we can access the methods of this number class through this child methods. That means when we are using the question symbol extends number, okay, so here suppose when we are passing the integer values, then automatically this is acting as a integer class. So it will use the methods of the number class and also it will use methods of the integer class. So both can be used in this program by using this type parameter. To this type parameter we are passing integer values. So here when we are using only the number, then it will use only the number class methods. For example, number class method is having some methods integer int value, float value. So only number class methods can be accessed when you are using only the variable, I mean class number inside the angle bracket. But when you are using question symbol extends number, this statement, it will use or access the subclass features and also parent class features. Both class features can be used. So when you are using the wildcard as a type parameter, you are reducing the restrictions. Here you are having restrictions, you cannot use the integer class methods. But when you are using this statement wildcard extends number, then it will use the methods of integer when we are passing the integer data. When you are passing the float data, you can use float class methods. So like that you can use all the features of subclass and also parent class. That's why we are saying here this is having less restriction than only when we are using number class. Okay, based upon this, here example is given, the class sample is defined here, t is extending the number based upon the type variable we are defining numbers here. Here I am using the constructor. T is the type variable, it will accept any values, okay, object values. Right here I am assigning to the nums variable. So here we are going to use the sum method, just it is returning the data which is receiving over this method. Here based upon this, here I am defining the uh, upper bound class name. Then here I'm using double is the data type, I mean return type, okay, return type of the method. Then here sum is the method name. Then I'm using array list, which is having the wildcard usage, upper bounded wildcard question symbol extends the number class, then which is receiving the data through the variable num, okay, num. Then here I am using the primitive data type double, sum is assigned with 0. Now I am using the number class here. In this number class I am defining the object n. Then the data which is receiving from the num is passing here. The numbers are received one by one using the for loop. Then when it is receiving the data which is adding with the sum after converting that n value into the double value method. So if you look at here, which is the method of the number class, okay, this method is available in number class. Automatically when we are using the number class, we can invoke the method double value, then which is returning the sum what we are getting here. After this, here I am using the main method. Then here I am defining the object for this array list. Array list is carrying the integer data, okay, so the x is carrying only integer data. Based upon that, to that x I am adding the 10. So here x is creating the array list. In that array list I am adding 10 in the 0th index. Then I am adding 20 in the first index. So now array list is created with the two values. Then I am calling the method sum of x. I am passing this array list through this method, right? So array list is passing over here. So this method is calling the sum method, okay. So now the data x is passing here 10 comma 20. So 10 comma 20 is available in the num. So here num is carrying one by one 10 comma 20. Then first 10 is assigning to the n. So now initially sum is 0. So 0 plus here 10 is converting into the 10.0 because double value method, okay. Here we are passing integer value, but after getting inside the for loop, we are converting that 10 into integer value into double value, then added into the sum. So now it is the 10.0. Then again for loop is incremented, one more data is available 20. So already 10 is there. So 10 is the sum value now. So 10 plus now new value 20. 20 is the n value now. So here 20 is converted into double value, then 20.0. So sum is now 30. There is no more elements in the for loop, it will come out, and now it is returning the 30.0. So based upon this, you see we are getting the output in this statement. So now it is returning the sum is passing over here, which is printing by this statement. So that's what written here. Then next time you see I am passing double value. So previously I used integer value, right? Now I am using double value, declaring this object as a double object which is carrying. So y is creating the array list. Here 0th index we are adding 30.0. Then we are adding one more data 40.0 in the first index. Then here I am calling the method sum by passing the data structure array list y. So once it is calling, this is calling this method sum. So the values of y 30 comma 40 is passing to the number, okay. This is the type parameter. You see this is the wildcard previously accepted these integer values. Now it is accepting the double data values. So this is acting as a different character at when it is receiving the data, depends upon the receiving data, which is acting as a subclass. That means it is importing the subclass integer first time. Now it is using the subclass double. Okay, so that is the thing here the wildcard is mainly using, right? Based upon this data receiving over the num, inside the method we are using the sum is 0.0, then num is having two data. So first it is using 30, which is added to 0, right? Then again here we are going to having the sum is 30, then we will add the second value 40. So that 40 is printing over this method, that after passing this 70 over this some value result of the sum of y. So here we should observe that wildcard is accepting any kind of data object values. First it has accepted integer object values, second time it has accepted double data type object values. That is the main purpose of wildcard. Thanks for watching.